All right, so welcome into my official NFL week number 11 top 10 best bets, where I go through my 10 favorite bets here for this upcoming NFL week. The first one, this is number 10. It is going to be Cincinnati traveling to Baltimore. I do like Cincinnati plus the 3.5 in. It's not a must-win situation for the Bengals, but it's pretty close, sitting at 5-4. If they want a shot at the division, they lose again, they'll be 2 games behind Baltimore and possibly lose that tiebreaker. It's a very competitive AFC North. Baltimore is a team kind of strange. It seems like they really controlled that game against Cleveland, but ended up losing and giving up 33 points. So I will take Cincinnati. They really should have won their game last week against Houston. Still a pretty good offense. I value that team greatly. The drop they had there at the end, they win this one outright and they easily cover the 3.5 points for me. Moving on to number 9, it is the Giants traveling to the nation's capital, and I am going in on the Giants plus the 10. Listen, I understand this is going to be a very unpopular bet. A lot of people want to go in on the Commanders. I get it. The Giants at this point, their front office certainly is trying to lose, but these players, they're going to go out there, they're going to try and win. They're going to keep it close, surprisingly. Listen, the NFL, if there's one thing we know, it's completely unpredictable. So the idea that we're just going to be able to bank all of this money off of the Giants completely tanking their season, I'm just not seeing that, to be the case. We were in on Dallas last week minus the 16. It paid off, but now, and I am going in on the Giants here in a road spot plus the 10. The Commanders are a very streaky team. They're really hard to get a gauge on. Obviously, they kind of traded their 2 best pass rushers there. Weird situation with Sam Howell. Is he the future? I mean, I guess they're going to try him going into next year. They're in a strange spot, though, the Commanders, because, what type of pick are they going to get at 4 and 6? Like maybe the 10th pick, the 11th pick? I don't know. They seems like they have a nice receiver room, but either way, I do like the Giants to keep that game at least within the 10 there. Moving on to number 8, it is the Chargers traveling to Green Bay. Should be a relatively cold game. You would expect it this late into the season, that high up, pretty cold, and I do like the under 43. Now in this game, I do have it just going under, so I've got the total at 43, and you can see the under 44, but this game reminds me of the Jets versus the Chargers on Monday night. What was that, a few weeks ago? Very low scoring. I do like what Jordan Love has been doing the past few weeks. He seems more comfortable, but it's going to be cold. You're talking about a warm weather team traveling. 44 isn't an outrageously low number. Like if this was in the 30s or like 41, I would stay away from it. But 44 gives you the wiggle room to have Herbert throw a few touchdowns. 23-20, it's not high scoring, but there's still some scoring going on, and you still get the value in the under 44 in a cold weather environment, so I do like that. Kind of likening this game to the Monday night game that the Chargers played against the Jets. I realize the Packers have a slightly better offense than the Jets, but still it seems like it's going to be cold weather. There's going to be elements involved, and you're taking a look at a Chargers team on the road. That's a Chargers team that's completely one-dimensional. It never gets talked about because everyone loves Austin Eckler because of fantasy, but he cannot run between the tackles. That is not the type of running back he is. They do not have a running back. If you shut down Justin Herbert, if you get pressure on him, that offense is going to crumble. It is what it is. I understand the Chargers not great on defense. They've given up a lot of, especially against Detroit, but that's a completely different environment being in a dome, 72 degrees, perfect, going on the road. I think the Chargers, Khalil Mack, and Boza will fare a little bit better against Jordan Love. Detroit also has a much better offense. Moving on to number 7, it is a rivalry. The Steelers traveling to Cleveland, and there's a lot of people in on the under in this game. I don't know, man. The over-under sitting at 36. I still think, based on this prediction, we get an under, total points scored being 34, but we know the Steelers are due for one of these games. I saw a statistic, and people were like, Kenny Pickett is not turning the ball over at all. Well, you know what? To me, that's a complete jinx. I think he probably throws 2 or 3 interceptions. He's due for it. The Browns have a really good defense. They're going to be at home. Give me Cleveland in this game big. The Steelers are 6-3, but we know they routinely get outgained. They very easily could have a losing record. This is a game where I think they get trounced against against a very solid Cleveland team. Cleveland, good on offense. Unfortunately, losing Nick Chubb against the Steelers in week 2, that really hurt them, but they still have a decent wide receiver room. We'll see if Cedric Tillman can develop. You've got Amari Cooper, Deshaun Watson, as long as he's healthy, should be good enough for the Browns to really rely on their defense against Kenny Pickett at home. I will take the Browns big in this one. 3.5 is a bit of an annoying number. You'd love to get them at 3, but either way, we will take them. Moving on to number 6, it is Chicago traveling to Detroit. So I like the over 46 in this game. And I don't know if that's right. It only gives Detroit a 68% chance to win. Is that correct? You would think it would be higher than that, but I personally think it's going to be a very close game as long as Justin Fields plays. Even without Justin Fields, you're talking about a higher scoring game. Betting, I really got to stop doing this with the Bears, though, because it's a constant thing where I'm like, well, if Justin Fields plays, they'll cover, or the over will hit, and then he never plays. I don't understand. He's got to get out on the field. I mean, he needs to prove himself, so you would think it's a great spot in a dome against a Detroit defense that just gave up a bunch of points to Justin Herbert. Even if you're playing from behind, you can get great garbage time points against Detroit using your mobility. And then the Lions, great on offense. Jahmyr Gibbs, their true number 1 running back right now. St. Brown, Goff at home, very, very solid. We like the over 46 in this one. Controlled environment, you'll take the over in the dome there. Moving on to number 5, this is the Monday night game. It is the massive Super Bowl matchup, Philadelphia traveling to Kansas City, and I will go in on the over 45.5. I find that to be a tame number. I thought this over-under would be about 48 or 49. You're talking about Mahomes against Hurts, higher scoring, just in general. The NFL, this is a Monday night game. This is their biggest Monday night game of the year. There's going to be an incentive for the refs to throw a lot of flags on the defense. They want this game juiced. The last thing they want is a 20-17 type game. You're going to get, I'm sure Taylor Swift is going to be there. There's going to be big ratings. They want a higher scoring games. Mahomes versus Hurts, MVP candidates, and they're going to get it. And originally I wanted to go in on Kansas City minus the 3, but I said I think the over is a better choice. But I do expect Kansas City to win this game and cover the spread. Although, when it comes to KC, the receiver weapons, they're really not there compared to a team like Philadelphia, but still, they should do enough. We saw Mahomes last year with not a lot of receiver help win the Super Bowl, so they should be good. And you're talking about two teams coming off a bye, well-rested, relatively healthy, coming into that game. Moving on to number 4, it is Arizona traveling to Houston. This should be a very fun game. Kyler Murray, CJ Stroud. The over-under is a little bit juiced at 48. I thought it would be like 45 or 46, so that's kind of annoying. But still, I'm expecting a very high-scoring game. I will say, typically when it comes to rookie quarterbacks, you expect them to get humbled at some point, and now people are starting to float out, oh, CJ Stroud might win the MVP. I think it's a little aggressive. We could see any one of these games, CJ Stroud go out there, throw 3 interceptions. It's all part of the maturing process, but it doesn't seem like it's coming. And you're talking about a dome. You're talking about defenses that aren't great. This has the makings, especially with Kyler Murray not looking rusty last week, to be a complete shootout. And now in the NFL with so little scoring, 30-27 is a legit shootout. That's 57 total points, an easy over 48 in that matchup. Houston is also -4. I wouldn't touch that at all because Arizona, it seems like, is really trying to win right now, even with a bad roster. That, to me, they could very easily win this game. I will take Houston, though, on the money line, and I'll take the over 48 as a fun little shootout in a dome. Moving on to number 3, it is Dallas traveling to Carolina. So it is important to note, Carolina right now, sitting the +11, there's no incentive for them to lose. All of the incentive right now when it comes to Carolina, and maybe, you know what, the one thing you could say with the Panthers, the narrative, they might fire their head coach. Maybe their head coach is a dead man walking. You want to go in on Dallas. I understand it, but I'm just saying, there's no in Carolina, they just want to win. They want to develop Bryce Young. They want to get him confidence. There's no reason for them to try and lose at all. They do not have their pick. And when it comes to a game like this, you've got a team like Dallas. We loved them minus the 16. They end up winning by 40 against the Giants. Now you're like, oh, this is another easy Dallas win. They're going to cover the 11. They'll win by 30 points. Look at Carolina sitting at 1-8. That's not how the NFL works. It's very unpredictable. I think Carolina puts up a fight, and people are shocked that this is a game into the third quarter. Maybe there's a narrative that Bryce Young actually might be, a solid quarterback. Let's not give up on Bryce Young. He's only, what has he started, 9 games at this point? Come on, guys. I think Bryce Young will play well with Adam Thielen. They'll keep him in this game. Maybe Dak Prescott throws an interception or two. Dallas ends up winning. Moving on to number 2, it is the Sunday night game. Minnesota traveling to Denver. And I do like Denver minus the 2 in this one. I understand the Josh Dobbs thing. I did pick against him last week and I was burned, but I'm doing it again because this is a Denver team that's got a lot of momentum. And they're at home and Russell Wilson's playing better. And they're going to have the crowd behind them, cold weather, although you would think Minnesota would be good with cold weather, but they are a dome team. Either way, you've got a crowd, you've got the court. We would think you've got the QB advantage. I mean, people love Josh Dobbs, I get it, but still, he's been with the team for 10 days. You would think the quarterback advantage, the crowd advantage, actually not a solid defense. Denver does have a really bad defense, but still, I guess the only trepidation would be, is Justin Jefferson coming back? That could be an issue, and that could likely push this line down, maybe even to a pick'em. In that event, I would still like Denver to win this game, even with Justin Jefferson, but you might get better value with a pick'em if you wait. We'll see if he ends up playing. And then moving on to number 1, it is the Jets traveling to Buffalo. This is the big 425 game. Again, the Jets this isn't a primetime game, but this is the big game. The reason is because everyone thought, Aaron Rodgers would be playing in this game. Of course, he is out. But shockingly, yes, I am going in on Buffalo. They need this win desperately. They're sitting right around 500. And I think they have a nice little offensive explosion. There is going to be the narrative. Although people are pissed off that they fired their offensive coordinator. People are like, oh, it's a scapegoat. And it is, but normally people don't say that. But everyone has been saying that, so I don't know. But there is the narrative. You fire your offensive coordinator. You open up the playbook a little bit more. It's a new narrative. You come out, you play well against a Jets team that really has no offense at all. Let's be honest with Zach Wilson. It is what it is. They do have a good defense, but Buffalo, with the crowd behind them, they really are desperate for this win. They're like 0-3 in their last 3 games against the spread. I think this is a correction game. They're going to cover and win it relatively easily. So guys, those are my top 10 best bets here for NFL week number 11. That's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on X. Link to that's always in the description.